So, on this episode of the Regina Kids podcast, we are with a heavy heart. Um, we have to say that God makes no mistakes, but on this episode, we will be discussing the loss of Regina, our mother, Mary Regina Norman. We love you, we miss you, and yeah, it might be a little rough for y'all siblings today. We just wanted to put that out there that this show is going to be talking about the loss of our mother, Regina, the reason behind the Regina Kids podcast.
Welcome to this great adventure of two sisters.
Absolutely not. Hey guys, welcome to the Regina Kids podcast. I am your host Maxi,
With her lovely younger sister, Rita the Ham.
and here on the podcast, as you can see, sibling relationships can be loving and sometimes a bit
Dramatic.
affect me, please, complicated. So join us every week as we explore all aspects of having a sibling.
Come be our sibling.
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome, welcome, welcome back to another episode of the Regina Kids podcast. I am your host, Maxi.
I'm your host, Rita.
And like the disclaimer said, this show is going to be a little rough for your siblings. It's been, when this show airs, it'll be exactly 90 days since our mom passed away. So, I'll tell you in advance, I've been, Mm, that's the other reason for our little
That
impromptu
is
break.
honestly, that is the main
Main
reason
reason. Well,
why.
I
Well, I mean, slightly after your recovery, we needed a little time for your recovery, but then everything else like kind of
yeah.
went in it's like we all took turns or some shit. Like it was just that.
Yeah. So,
Talk about the gift that keeps on giving, the bullshit that keeps on giving. Jets.
so let's just go through some of our housekeeping stuff. As always,
Let's
we
get that out the way.
not only are we going to talk about the passing of our mom, this is also like a celebration show.
Oh
So,
yeah.
we're going to talk about good, bad, the ugly. We're going to post some videos. So, in order for you, you're going to be able to hear the video if you're just listening to on the podcast app. But I recommend that you go
Come
like
on
and
over to YouTube.
subscribe over to YouTube so you can actually see the videos and the pictures and all of that. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel at Regina Kids Podcast. You can always drop us a sib note at Regina Kids Podcast at gmail.com because I know that a lot of our listeners have gone through this. Some of them may not have gone through this, but
Hmm.
it's a lot. So this is real heavy. So you can drop us a sib note or at our Gmail, like I said, at reginakidspodcast.com, or you can slide over into our DMs on Instagram at underscore Regina Kids Podcast on Instagram, or on TikTok at the Regina Kids Podcast. So, um, where do we start? So last episode I told y'all I know where we're gonna start. Our last episode I told y'all about my recovery from my carpal tunnel and tendonitis surgery. And during that time, because my surgery was in September.
September. Yep.
My surgery was in September. So mid September, while I'm going through my healing of my hand and going to physical therapy. Well, let's go back. Um I became my mom. My mom had, for the last 7 years, she struggled with COPD. And if y'all listen to our Happy Giving to the Thanks episode last Thanksgiving, we did have the pleasure of getting our mom on the show. Y'all got to hear a little bit
Hilarious show.
about her background, with the type of jobs that she was doing and how she came to having COPD. So in the last 8 months or so, I became her full-time caregiver.
Hmm.
And during that time, by mid-September, she had she wasn't feeling well. She had gotten sick, so I took her to she took her to her doctor's appointment, and her doctor was like, "Nope, she needs to go straight to the emergency room. Her lung doctor is there. They can get her checked out, whatever." So I took her to the hospital. She was there for about a week,
Hmm.
and then she got released, and she was home for probably a week and a half. And the same symptoms that she went into the hospital with, she came home with, and they had gotten worse. So at that time, my mom was real stubborn. She really did not want to go back to another
She did
hospital.
not.
And October the 1st, I took her to the hospital, and we sat in that hospital pretty much majority of the day. I listened to her fuss about how they wasn't gonna do nothing, and I don't understand why we still here. They ain't gonna do nothing but send us home. So, but after all of the tests and everything was ran, we found out that so we assumed it was just her COPD that she had been struggling with for the
Well,
last
she assumed,
right for the
wasn't
last
exactly
seven
that.
for the
She
last
assumed
seven
that.
years that it was just her oxygen levels needed to be rechecked. She needed to, do something. But this is why for me, it's so important that, and it's not even just your parents or the elderly people in your life, like even with like your kids or young adults in your life, like they need somebody in their life who can advocate for them when it comes to navigating through the healthcare system. Because a lot of times, especially with older people, they'll go to the doctors, and the doctor will tell them one thing. They don't understand any of the medical jargon that these doctors are saying to them, and it becomes a situation where whatever the doctor say, then that's it. So after spending um, close up to like 10 hours in the hospital and them running multiple tests, we did find out that my mother had cancer. It wasn't until later in that week that we found out that she had metastatic um, stage 4 breast cancer, and she also had localized kidney cancer, meaning she had kidney cancer that was only in her kidney. It wasn't spreading, it wasn't um affecting any other organs or anything like that. It was just sitting in her kidney because
Yeah,
kidney
she had a mass in her kidney.
right, because kidney cancer is one of those cancers that i- if it's in your kidney, it's just there, and it's a slow moving cancer, unlike breast cancer. So this is what's causing me to be an advocate now, because I know other people who've had breast cancer. I know a few breast cancer survivors, young and older, all black women. But for me, it's pulling at my heartstrings now more than ever because um, for her to have a lung disease and for her to be going to the doctors every 90 days and them never checking her test or being able to see that she has something going on as far as the metastatic breast cancer. Because the thing about breast cancer is it's a fast moving cancer.
Mhm.
So by the time she found out that she was in stage 4, it had already spread it down to her bone. It was everywhere, basically, in her ribs, in her sternum. It was everywhere. So being that it was a upper cancer that's in the upper part of her body, it leads me to believe that she she wasn't aware of it, one, and two, that you have to advocate when you don't understand the stuff that your doctors are saying or they're not doing. Because I've been told, I had to fight tooth and nail with my mom to try to switch out her doctors because I felt like he wasn't paying attention closely to her tests, and this kind of proved that. So I'm going to take a pause right there and let Rita kind of jump in as far as like the beginning of it.
Okay. So October. So to go back just a little bit, she was having issues with her stomach, so she wasn't really able to eat things and stuff. And one of the things that we had joked about, because I had just had gallbladder surgery in August. So I was recovering from that. And so she was having some of the symptoms that I was having. And she was like, if I go here and they tell me it's something wrong with my gallbladder, I'm gonna beat you. And I was like, "My, it don't work that way. I'm your daughter, so it's if you have an issue with your gallbladder, I got that shit from you." So we was very much, so we was laughing about that, but we was very much hoping that it was something simple like that, because it could have very well have been that as well. And then I remember one of the things that they said why it could have spread so fast is because with the localized kidney cancer, it did affect her adrenal gland. Your adrenal gland is this little small triangular um gland that sits right above your kidney. So that was affected. Your adrenal gland does help support your immune system. So with that gland being affected, I do believe, um, and I, we asked the doctors about it as well. With that being affected, that could have, you know, sped up the spread of her breast cancer. So we found out about the breast cancer October 1st. She went through a kidney biopsy. She went through a bone marrow biopsy. Um, Later on, she went through, and then now one thing about this too, which was such a surprise, is that she had literally no lumps, no bumps, no discharge, no soreness, no irregularities at all in her breast. So other than them actually seeing the lesions and things like that on her x-rays and doing the bone marrow, she had no other way of knowing that she had the breast cancer. Like if she never had an issue with her stomach or anything like that, she probably would have never we never would have she never would have even known until everything hit the fan later on, because she didn't have any other symptoms. So if she was having any other kind of pain or anything like that, she just automatically assumed it had something to do with her COPD, because she was walking around a little bit slower. She always had some type of back pain, because when you have COPD, you get on steroids, and those steroids do make you gain weight, and a lot of the weight that you gain is in your belly. So she did, you know, sit more up and slunched kind of over, because she carried a little bit more weight in her stomach. So after her kidney biopsy, now mind you, I'm still in Florida, so I'm FaceTiming, I'm stalking her and Maxi every day, seeing what's going on, seeing what's
Stalking is an
happening.
understatement. But
Because I'm like, now, mind you, I was already on, like, for me, I can go only a certain period of time until I need to see. I talk to her every day on FaceTime, multiple times a day. But it comes a period where I'm like, I need to touch my mama. I need to see her face. I need to mess with her in her face. That's just how I am. And it's been that way since I moved to Florida. Like, I be back and forth 3, 4 times a year. Like, at least almost every 3 months at one point. And especially with me going through what I had just went through, it was just like I want to go touch and see my mom. So I already was on my way there on the 14th. But once everything started transpiring, and then she had the kidney biopsy. So once she had the kidney biopsy, then she started having issues again with her kidneys, and they ended up putting her in ICU, and she had to go on dialysis to help try to kickstart those kidneys again. And I said, "Fuck what y'all heard. I'm on my way." You know what I'm saying? Because for me, I need to be there. Like, I don't give a fuck about nothing else. Fuck all that. I'm on my way. So what was that? That was that a Friday? It was like a Friday. No, it was like she had the biopsy. She ended up, I got there like that Friday. When I got there, she was already in ICU going through they call it stat dialysis. I went through stat dialysis myself. And if you don't understand what that is, what happens is that they take a catheter and they put it through the main artery of your neck. I still have like a little scar right here. So when they do it, and they put this catheter and they hook you to that dialysis machine. Um, and she was on dialysis. She was on a ventilator in the ICU. Um, damn, like almost a week, right?
Yeah, almost a week.
Yeah, yeah. From the time that they originally put her on till I think it was like a Tuesday, Wednesday, when they finally took her off that dialysis. When I tell you, she is a fighter. That lady was acting up in ICU, under sedated. Now, mind you, she's sedated. It was it was this nurse that weekend named Rico. Rico, my brother, you deserve a raise, because my mama was kicking his ass. She was I she was fighting out of sedation multiple times a day. They had to readjust the medication so that she wouldn't, because she was literally trying to wake up and pull her ventilator, pull it out. And she was beating his ass that whole entire time. And you talk about that woman is strong. What they
Right,
call
because again,
that old people strength. That woman is strong. She was beating Rico ass. It was at a point they had to get like 4 nurses. It was me, my best friend, and 3 other nurses trying to get her together, because she was coming up out those restraints. And then there was one time where they was cleaning her up, changing her, and they had fucked up and let her loose a little bit. And then you can hear them in there, wait a minute, no, Mary, no. Like, she was kicking their ass. And I would call back, so I'm like, your mama up here acting up, girl. She up here acting up. Like, she was then they when they got her off the ventilator, um I was Maxi it was Maxi, because we would switch off.
right.
Because I wanted to come and give her a break, so we would switch off. So the day that they was taking her off the ventilator, Maxi had went, and something in me was just like, I couldn't sleep. I was just like, I need to come up there. And Max was like, you need to chill. And I'm like, no, I am on my way up there. I was like, no, I'm coming up there. And they actually took her off the ventilator that day because up until that point, she had been, since I had been there, she had been unconscious. Like it was one time where she kind of woke up out of sedation and she seen me and I know that she recognized me and she just looked at me and she like nodded her head, but then it came to like, what the fuck is going on? And she started kicking people ass.
She was really acting up every time Rita was there.
Yeah,
Cause
she was acting up. I don't know. I brought some energy. She was, she was like, I don't know what it was, but she was acting up while I was. She most definitely because when Maxie was there, she was chill.
cause I bring the chill energy.
But she when I was there, she was acting up. So then when I got up there, she was off the ventilator and she was classic Regina. She told her nurse she was yellow. Like, why is your skin yellow? And, and the nurse and the poor little nurse, and I was like, well, mom, what? She was like, I was like, what do I look like? And she was like, you fine. You look like yourself. And she was like, but that something wrong with her. Something wrong with her skin. She yellow. And so when I was walking out, she had called me Red, but she was calling me Red because that's just a nickname that she would say to me, like, where you going, Red? And the nurse was like, it's okay. She calls me Yellow because she just called you Red. And I'm like to myself, like, she ain't called that ain't
The
no,
reason.
that ain't the reason. And then she was like, these motherfuckers trying to kill me. And I'm like, Ma, they not I heard them. I heard no, no, that's not what you heard, Ma. Because what they were saying when she was on the ventilator, they were saying that they don't want to take her off too soon and then have to end up putting
Put
her
her
right
back.
back on it if her lungs wasn't if her lungs wasn't ready. So they just wanted to be sure she was able to and not make any mistakes. And she heard make mistakes and said they was trying to kill her.
Well, let's get into this commercial and take a little breather.
Hey dreamers, my name is Maxi Norman, owner of Elnor Maxwell LLC. I am a broadcast media manager and a podcaster of a podcast called the Regina Kids Podcast. I'm also a
Go
super
see the
producer
commercial.
of a show called Kingdom Chicks Reconstructed. And I'm a 3-time self-published author. My first book, All My Broken Crayons Still Color, a daily affirmation book and a journal. My second book, Love You More, Grieving Isn't Easy and Healing Hurts. My third book, the trilogy, I Am Not Responsible for Your Tears, The Authentic Guide to Being Happy, all can be found on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And as always, we'll continue to glow through whatever it is we're going through. Now let's get back to the show.
Okay, so welcome back to the show.
Sorry, I was
Um,
calling you because you got frozen.
what?
I didn't. There was no commercial or anything that popped up. You just froze.
The commercial played on my end. I don't know what's going on with you.
It didn't. It didn't show. Usually it pops up. It didn't pop up over here.
That's your technical difficulty.
I don't know what's that. Okay, I
It's
was moving in the camera. You was frozen.
I wasn't moving.
Oh,
Jeez. Anyway,
maybe that's why.
um, so to say those uh those 31 days that before she passed in the hospital was eventful, they were really eventful.
That's an understatement.
I had several conversations with my mom, and just so people know, like when your parents are in the hospital, like to say you're gonna get rest, like to, because I couldn't stay there all night. I had to leave, come back because I was still going to therapy. Um, so that was my routine: get up, go to therapy, go to the hospital. Get up, go to therapy, into the hospital. Like for at least the last 2 months, that's been my routine. Get up, go to therapy, then go to the hospital. Uh, it's been a time, if I could tell you that. I would tell
A
my
time is an understatement.
I me and my
It's
mom
exhausting.
had tons of conversations even before this incident. Like, I don't want to be in the room with you. Like, but you can't tell God what, you know, you want to happen
Hmm.
when it's their time. You know what I'm saying? Cause um it got to the point where she got real lethargic towards the end, and they were going to put her in, comfort care, where they just let you be comfortable, and you let nature just take its course. We didn't make
Hmm.
it to comfort care. The day I was supposed to have the meeting with comfort care, she passed on that day. And people would joke like my mom was such a character that she would pass on Halloween, and it snowed that day. So it was just like, everything leading up to that.
She had good days. She had some really good days to where she would like, I had seen like she was doing her physical therapy. It will wipe her out, but she was really trying her best to get back cuz with the where she was in her, cuz sometimes you could have stage 4 cancer, but depending on like your mobility and where you are as far as how you can move around depends on the level of how they can treat you.
Yeah, but it's
But
also dependent on what else you have going on.
right. So like for her, she had very limited options. Like she couldn't it was certain tests that she couldn't take because of the issues that she was having with her kidneys and her lungs. There was certain treatments she couldn't have because of her kidneys and her lungs. Because a lot of the breast cancer treatments, even the simple like the pills, um one of the major side effects it had to do with her lungs. So it was she only was able to do one treatment, and it was in reference to her hormone, her estrogen. It was like an estrogen blocker, and she was only able to do like 2 weeks of that, and she was even kind of weary of it, like just the different treatments as well too, because she didn't know how the side effects was gonna do her. And like one of the conversations I had with her, I was like, "Ma, all you look, you just try." I was like, with everything else that you've done in life, you've always been a fighter. And at the end of the day, you just fight until you can't fight no more. And if you don't like the side effects, you can always, stop it. So she only actually was able to do 2 weeks of treatment before she just was so lethargic, and she was got to the point to where she just slept,
Right.
95% of the time. But up until that, like when people come visit her, like she had all the jokes in the world, and um she was herself the whole, pretty much the whole entire time.
Speaking of which, we'll get into Rita's new segment of Regina Says.
Regina says, "Oh, you know what? Since we talking about her being in the hospital, I'm gonna go straight to one of my me and my best friend favorite story." So this one particular day, me and my best friend Hazel was there visiting her. She always called us the housewives of Lake County, or she called us Mary Kate and Ashley for whatever reason. Um, so she was like, "Oh, my Kate and Ashley is here," and we was just talking, and Hazel had asked her if her ex boyfriend had came up there to see her, and she went on a full. You talk about me ranting. No, baby, no. You don't know nothing about no rent until you hear Regina go the fuck off about something. So we was there and she was like, hell no, he can't come see me. And I was like, Bod, like I had made a joke like, what about companionship? And she was like, companionship? Companionship? Fuck that. She was like, it's about that business. And if a nigga can't fuck or can't lick nothing, I ain't got time for it. She said the next time that nigga go see me, he gonna see me in a casket. And she meant that shit too.
I don't understand why this would be the story of the day for you.
Cause that was when she was at the hospital. I'm just giving people a glimpse of Regina, okay? Like, and listen, you talk about somebody who mean their words. Next time that nigga seen her was where? At the funeral.
Jesus Christ. And this is
Dead
like
ass.
a quick overview. This is really about like people processing grief and being an advocate for your parents
Mm-hmm.
and just knowing that you are not out here alone because life is going life and you have to lean on that God does not make any mistakes.
And you know what? It was, I think for me, the COPD, I think I wouldn't have been, just going through this whole process. They say that, you're never, it don't matter what it's from or how it will be, you're never going to be ready or prepared for it. But I feel like I was a little bit more prepared for COPD in a way. But with it being the breast cancer, I think that's what really, it was like a major curveball. And then it's just like when it's your time, it's your time. But I'm so grateful that she only had to deal with it for literally a month. Because to see the like she had really good days, but when she had her bad days, they were bad. You know what I mean? And just seeing her go from a person who had their independence and she could walk around, she could make her own food, like she could bathe herself, like she was moving a little bit slower, but for the most part she had her own little independence. And to see her go from that to be how she was in the hospital, I'm grateful that it was on, and I'm grateful and I'm thankful to God that it was only for a month.
Well, in the words of my mother, y'all wasn't gonna fight over who was gonna wipe her ass, is what she told me. But um I had to give myself grace a lot, and I'm still in that process of giving myself that grace because after, it was um last year made 7 years since our father passed away, to
Mhm.
and my mom got sick that same year. So
Yes.
in my mind, I felt like physically I did all of the things to help prepare me in my mind because as I realized today, there's nothing that you can do. Like, I was there every Sunday. I was always on the phone with her. I spent all the time with her. I brought her grandkids and her great grandson to spend time with her. Like, I physically did all of the things that I was like, I wouldn't have that guilt that I had when my dad had passed away. And I'm realizing now there is no all of the things that you could do because there's no
Mm-mm.
preparation for you
No.
to not have your parents. Whether y'all have a good relationship or a bad relationship, like there's no preparation for that. Like it's just something and you'll hear people explain it differently or not be able to explain how it feels to not have your parents because you feel different on the inside. Like
Mhm.
life feels different. I could say for me, like it was hard for me to come back home and her not be here. I had even with like after recovery and having to go back to work, it was like a struggle for me because it was like I had a routine. Like I would get up in the morning, get in the shower, put on my work uniform, which is some kind of character pajama set.
Okay, that is
And
not a uniform.
yes, it is when you work from it's a work from home uniform. So
Okay.
and then by the time I'm out of the bathroom, she would be up. She would be in the living room. I would fix her breakfast. We would laugh and talk. I had got her hooked on, like, because for my mom, being old school is like, I won't bacon every day for breakfast. I'm like, I'm not making bacon every day for breakfast. So I got her hooked on like having fruit smoothies and trying different stuff. And then, you know, on my breaks and fixing her lunch and talking to her about her shows and, all of that. Like w- after she passed, I'm still in the process of trying to find like my own new normal. That's part of the reason for my HGTV reconstruction because it was like I couldn't it was hard for me to be at home. It was hard after you have your parent in your home and they're integrated into your life like that. It's hard to just, for me, it was hard to come back into that space and it be the same way it was the day I took her to the hospital. So that was a struggle for me. So I
Mhm.
just know that like um a lot of times you hear people like, oh, I'm not gonna get on here and tell my business and this and this and that and whatever. But I know that my pain pushes my purpose. So this show is to encourage somebody who may be taking care of their parent, and that is not an easy task to do every day. Um, I know a lot of us in the black community, we don't believe in nursing homes or assisted living. It's like, no, when my parents get old, they got to come live with me because I got to make sure that they okay. I got to take care of them. And that is that is a rough task to take on because a lot of times we have to consider that before our parents had us, they were human. They were people
Mhm.
and they had their own lives and they lived their life the way that they chose. And it wasn't a big push for therapy and healing and everything that's out here now. So a lot of that they haven't healed from all of their childhood trauma. So I would say that if you still have your parents, take an opportunity to get to know who they were before you were here. And with that being said, um, my mom was definitely a character. I have one of my favorite videos of her. This is why y'all gotta join the YouTube. Y'all be able to hear it, but watching the video is something totally different. So
And it was shot by yours truly.
here
Most
she
of her
go.
videos, what? It's the truth. Most of her videos, I caught a video.
So
That's my song. New I'm spreading the news.
They had a chance. Man, I don't know what you're talking about.
You tried
Let
today.
me see that last play. Gronkowski had a
You
chance.
wanted to be a part of it.
You don't even know the
New
words.
York, New York.
Hey, this is a big game. Let me see your phone.
It's over now.
Man, they gonna believe it.
Don't cry. Come on, let's go to the store. Cause you lost to New York.
why you giving her all this ammunition? Cause she taping you. It's
Why
gonna be
you?
on Facebook. You about to be on Facebook.
It's it's all
Everybody all together. Do, 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 do,
you gotta
do,
watch the you
do,
gotta go on
do,
YouTube,
do,
even
do,
if it's just
do,
for that,
do,
just to watch
do,
the
do,
video, cause it's
do,
the
do,
dance
do, do,
in the video for
do,
me.
do,
Rita.
do. It's the pelvic thrust. It's the
Oh God.
thrusting. It's the thrusting.
It's so many videos of just random, just
the my
randomness.
favorite, my favorite is the Valentine's Day video.
Well, maybe we'll put that up for Valentine's Day weekend or something.
Oh yeah, cause yeah, that was funny.
But God make no mistakes because we have been, if y'all go back to the Thanksgiving show from last year, we had been asking her to come on the show and just be able to conversate with her. So I feel like that was such a blessing that she was able to get on the show. And another thing that was such a blessing is that last year when my third book came out, I had a whole dedication in that book to my mother, and she didn't know that until my actual book event that I had. So for my Maxi's motivational moment of the day, I will be reading from the trilogy, my third book. I am not responsible for your tears, the authentic guide to being happy. And I'm going to try to get through this because, my emotions been all over the place. But the dedication to my mom in this book reads Living Life in Full Bloom. Mommy, we made it. I do not think that I can write or express enough how much I love you. Your strong will and refusal to not give up is the reason I hustle hard every day. You are an example of what a strong woman looks like. Your love and dedication to your girls are why I can walk with my head held high. You are the reason why no one can break me. I pray that I am making you proud. I am glad you never gave up on me. Thank you for believing in me even when you didn't understand my visions or they did not make sense to anyone but me. Even when my truth made you mad, you encouraged me to keep writing. Through all of my hard headedness, I thank God you still loved me enough to to push push through it with me. I will never be able to repay you for all you have done for me. Always know I will forever hold us down. It's only up from here. Love always your misunderstood middle child. I wasn't um when I did my book event, I couldn't make it through that dedication without tears flowing down my face. I'm surprised I'm making it through this show without the tears.
Healing, healing.
This girl, but
What?
nothing. Um, but I'm definitely a breast cancer advocate. Actually, I'm signed up with the American Cancer Association to be a cancer advocate because 40% of African American women pass away from breast cancer compared to other races. So it is a big deal to get those tests. And a lot of people don't know that, like for my family, my mom, my grandmother, my great grandmother, and my great great grandmother all passed away from some type of cancer. So there is a genetic cancer test that you can have done with your doctor. Is really just a blood test. It takes um 6 to 10 weeks to come back, but there is a genetic cancer test that you can ask your doctor for to
Mhm.
see if it's something genetic or is something that just, happens. But
Right.
um that's just something that I am big on advocating for. And if you guys don't follow me on social media, either Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, it's all Maxi E. Norman or Elnor Maxwell. I'm doing a 43 days to 43 starting February 6th, and I will be really diving deep into the stats regarding cancer, breast cancer, being an advocate, how to go about doing that. I am definitely setting my mom up a breast cancer walk team this year in October. It's just something that's really like pulling on my heartstrings to do, and that I'm really like seriously focusing in on, just making sure that people are advocating for their loved ones. Because when I tell you that if I hadn't been in healthcare for 15 years in the financial billing side of healthcare, I also, well, let me go back. I've been a CNA, I have been a activity aide, I worked at a hospital, I worked at nursing homes, I worked at assisted living, I worked in corporate regarding medical. I have taken like I probably got enough credits to could have been a nurse, but that wasn't for me. But if I didn't study in healthcare, it's hard to understand the medical jargon and stuff that people in the medical field, doctors, nurses, just threw out at people. So you really need an advocate. You really need somebody to be able to get you in that mindset like, hey, I don't understand that. Could you say it in layman's terms or regular people terms, not in medical terms? Like, could you spell that out for me? Like, these are questions that you can ask them and be able to fully understand what's going on with you. Like, even if your doctor prescribed you a medication, make sure you read that envelope that come from the pharmacy. Google the medication. See what is the uses are. Like, it's a big deal to know what you're putting into your body, to know what is going on with you. So, although we are still in grief, I wrote a whole book about grief in the different stages, but although we're still in the grieving process of my mother, I was there when she passed away, and I am grateful that it was peaceful. I am grateful that I was able to have pastors that are available on call that could pray with me while she was transitioning. Um, I was grateful that I could be able to, you know, wash her face, and I don't believe in nobody having no ashy lips or being ashy period, and it lotion her body. And while I sat there and waited for the funeral home to come pick her up. So it's a lot that you have to be able to deal with and process. I appreciate everybody in my life that has been there. Um, my mom's homegoing was beautiful. I was glad I was able to just bring some kind of peace to the people who loved and cared about her. So, with that being said, we are a little over time. Rita, what is your sib note?
My sib note is Let me see. Live every day like it's your last. Regret nothing. Enjoy everything.
Regret nothing and enjoy everything. Um, I think my sib note is going to be. I'm just gonna put my mom's picture back up here because I always say that she was my shiro. Like she was one of the strongest women that I have ever met, and I'm just glad I could be out here making her proud. Like the things that I am going to do to make sure that her legacy lives on. Um, that's been placed on my heart to do. Like it's not gonna be an easy task, but everybody will know her name. So we're starting with the podcast, Mary Regina Norman. We love you. She is definitely missed every day. Like it ain't a day that I don't feel like uh I don't miss her because it's just one of those things like when you get to a certain age, I think you had said it like your parents kind of transition from being just your parent and y'all become friends like when y'all can work out childhood
Mm-hmm.
traumas and all of that, like not to say they ain't gonna get on your nerves, but what I wouldn't give to have her get on my nerves again today. So
Yeah, it's true. Like when you understand like they passed and you like it was a thing that I had heard a long time ago. They was just talking about we're raising kids. Like when your kids are young, you parent them, and then when they become adults and they're able to function on their own, then they become your friend. And she truly became my best friend um in my grown up years, you know, and we laughed and talked and fussed and gossiped. We couldn't hold water with each other. Like, girl, did you hear about this? Girl, did you hear something? Me and my mama would, we would gossip, okay? And
definitely can't tell them nothing if you don't want nobody else to know.
you surely cannot. Cause number one, as soon as she hears, she gonna be on the phone with me telling me, and then I'm be like, "Girl, then I heard this." Like, that was literally every day, multiple times, multiple times a day, unless she was watching The Bachelor.
Mm-mm.
That was her show, The Bachelor. um, but they truly become. That's like one of the greatest gifts. Like when you have such a great relationship with your parents, to where they actually become, your friend, and she truly was um one of my best friends, and I miss her every day. But when I get those moments, I always think about something funny that we talked about, or I watch one of her crazy videos, or I read one of her crazy text messages, and it just be like certain things that just happen, and I just know that she's just consistently around and consistently still with us in spirit, and that is what brings me major comfort, and then also just in knowing that she's not here suffering, because a lot of people in the same situation suffered for way longer, some even suffer for years, and go through so much more than what she had to go through. So I was truly grateful for that she didn't have to linger and suffer in any more pain than what she had already been through.
Yeah, I find comfort in that. And I spoke to my mom every day, so it's just certain things that stick with me. Um I ain't all the way there in true peace, but again, I'm still in the stage of giving myself grace
Mhm.
to get there because I wasn't a feel all the type of feels person. We discussed that. So I'm back
Yeah.
into my feelings again. We're we're working through that. But um I pray that this podcast was informative, although
Mhm.
it is a bit emotional and sad as we go through and discuss the loss of our mother. I'm sure she'll be brought up in plenty of other podcasts, and
Oh
being
yeah,
that she
each
has
and
a
every
whole
one.
segment about, different
Each
things
and
that
every
she
one
says.
that
So,
she would say. Almost definitely. Like it is a very, very sad thing. Um, but I find peace in it all because of conversations that we had, and one of the last conversations that we had, especially after she came off of the ventilator. Um, she talked about how she had a great life, how much she loved us as her daughters. Um, she was thankful to God that she was able to love, that she was able to come back and say goodbye to all the people that she loved, and she still had a little bit more time. So she had full knowledge and understanding of what was going on with her situation, and what was happening. So I find peace in that, and I was able to say things to her in her face and actually talk to her, because for me that's what I needed the most because of living so far, you know, and in that situation I was the complete opposite. Like I wanted to be there when she took her um when she took her last breath and things like that. Like I wanted to be there with her. But I had left literally a couple of days before cuz I had to handle some stuff. And then that's one thing, when you're going through that and you're at the hospital all the time, you have to take moments and listen to your own body and make sure that you're okay health wise also. So I had to come and do that for myself.
right.
So unfortunately with that I ended up missing out on um her last, on the day that she passed, because I most definitely would have been there.
Um, yeah, that was a hard day for me,
Yeah.
and it's still a hard day for me. But I know my mom would always tell me, "Suck it up, Buttercup." So, some days I just have to suck it up, Buttercup. But we thank you guys again for joining us on another episode of the Regina Kids podcast. Like I said, God makes no mistakes. We said on this podcast, maybe a year before we actually started it,
Mhm.
we talked about it, but we never put any action to actually doing it.
Talked
So,
about what?
doing this podcast.
Oh
So,
yeah.
I know that it was nobody but God that pushed us last year to actually do the podcast and get my mom on here because those are the things that I'm reminded of, that like I have friends and other family members who've lost their parents, and it wasn't um the world wasn't as tech savvy as it is right now. So in this time, we were able to capture multiple videos and tons of pictures, and um I
Mhm.
can go back and hear her voice, because sometimes I know that when you lose people, you after a while you forget what they sound like. And um although in the beginning I didn't think that like having the videos and having all the pictures would bring me comfort, but on those days when it's really hard, those videos, those pictures, those moments, even the bad ones, the all of that brings comfort. So, as always, if anybody is going through grief, just know that you're not alone. Give yourself grace. It's a process. So, yeah, and y'all gonna be along for the ride through the process. So, as always, thank y'all again, and we will
Go ride it till
continue
the wheels fall off.
and we will continue to glow through.
Whatever it is we're going through. Because we fine as hell. Y'all know that. And if you don't believe it, go check YouTube.
Bye, guys. Rita, that
Bye,
was
guys.
so unnecessary.